Well, every Thursday we do our best to highlight different professions, and today is no exception. We're going to be highlighting a special profession that's dear to my heart, and I'll let Dziffa.
Oh, go for it.
I'll let Dziffa.
Go for it.
I should go for it. I should do it. Okay.
David is like, I really want to do it, but
So, for some of you, you know that, and we talk about it here. I don't hide it. I'm also a photographer, apart from what I'm doing here, and it's something that I love with a passion, you know. And today we're highlighting the profession of photography, but it's not me that's going to be the center of the conversation. One of my very, very best friends and brothers, he's in the house, Steven Adusei. Let's welcome him.
Good morning.
Steven.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you ended up in photography?
Okay. I am a graphic designer.
Okay.
Most people know this. And out of graphic designing came the photography.
Okay.
Because I think way back then, I couldn't find the kind of photos I wanted. And you know, in stock photography, you don't find the OBBN that you want to use in your annual reports and other things. So I had to start creating my own thing.
Wow.
Yes.
And how long ago was this?
In the 90s. But before that, I remember when I was in preparatory school, I had this small rectangular camera. I don't know if you remember this camera that after every shot you push in and push out just to advance it. I had one in preparatory school, and I would take pictures of my friends in exchange for Bona biscuit. So, yeah. And we had some old 50 pesos too that we used to trade.
Wow.
So I was taking photos in preparatory school. And then, yes, when I grew up, you know, it was there. So when I couldn't find my pictures, I fell back to my own pictures to do my graphics work.
But at what point did you decide, I'm going to pursue this as a career?
I think it was 2006, if I remember right. And this thing had been going on, and a friend of mine forced me to photograph her wedding. And I remember another brother of ours, Steven Adusei, and Nana Akua visited me at Kanda, my office. I had made a down payment to buy a printing press.
Okay.
Graphic designer, printing press. Usually that's the story. So when they came, I took them to that space. I said, I'm going to put a machine here, but I'm not sure whether I should make it a studio or press. And these two brothers managed to convince me. And I switched. And I had to collect my down payment back and made that space a studio.
Wow.
Yes. So I think it was 2006, if I remember rightly, yes.
Yeah, so the journey has been a long one, from, let's say, 2006 to now.
Yes.
What would you say have been some of the more difficult moments where you felt like, you know what, let me just throw this photography away?
Let me think about that. That's what Siri will tell you. But I'm still thinking.
Okay.
Okay, should I ask you another question while you're thinking about it?
So whilst you're thinking about that one, let's find out. Some people look at the photography profession and say, I see the guys, they look good, they look like they're making a lot of money. I'm talking about the maybe the last 5 years or so, people who have come into the photography space. They've looked at some of us, you know, and said, look, the people, they look like they're making a lot of money and everything else. Let's get into it because it looks lucrative. They hear the charges and they say, it sounds like good money, let's get into it. What's the real story?
So then it would take me, let me start from the end, then I will come back to it. You know, I started teaching the business of photography. This is the reason I started teaching that. People forget that aside it being an art, it's also a business. So you get into it and you think Dziffa is going to call you, take a picture of me, and that's it. But the moment there's money involved, then it becomes business.
Okay.
And even aside that, on my wedding day, if you say you're going to take pictures of my wedding at no cost, there's still some level of, you have to, some responsibility.
Yeah.
That's the day you can't recreate.
Yeah.
So all these things, when you put together, then you talk about the flow. Pre-shoot consultation or meetings, charges, even charging, how to charge, and charge right, because these equipments, they are not cheap. Yes. Then preparation, how you're going to do the work, and also because it's an art, your mindset, the creativity that you put into it. You think about all these things, and then the post-shoot, what happens? The editing, the delivery, and all that. So you were thinking that you're going to spend maybe 30 minutes to shoot Dziffa, then it ends up being maybe
5 hours.
maybe 8 hours.
Yeah.
Put everything together. People don't think about all these. So you jump into it before you even check whether it's hot or cold.
Yeah.
So this is why I started the business of photography. I was trying to teach the people who jumped into it 5 years ago and all that, how to think
About it.
about the whole thing.
What does it take to be a professional photographer? Because for most of us, our first exposure to a photographer, be a wedding or a funeral, they just click and give you the picture and call it a day. But then how do you actually identify a professional photographer?
The book definition is that you have to make at least maybe 80% of your income from it.
Wow.
You were trained to be a photographer, like you live like a photographer, then that's you become a professional photographer. But I think you can be forgiven when you're in Ghana and this is your side job and you have a big camera and you're taking pictures. But ideally, you should have the mindset of a business person.
Okay.
That way you won't disappoint anyone. And also you make money out of the photography business.
Okay, but what also goes into the art of photography itself? Like, if you meet a client and they say, I want this vision, how do you bring it to life?
So it's interesting. Clients will call you because of what you have done before. So they are coming to you from that angle. They saw your portfolio. So they already know your style. Or they'll say, send me your portfolio. And based on that, they call you for you to do the gig. So they expect that why they called you won't be it won't be off what they saw. I hope you get it.
Yes.
Unless they haven't seen you before, or they haven't seen your works before.
But for instance, we're looking at one of your work, this one, the one before this with the two people in front of the coffee shop.
Okay.
This is a really unique piece, right? So what goes into taking a shot like this?
So when you're working for corporate, an agency will call you to arrange for the shoot. And this was a commercial shoot for Barclays.
So, okay, so Barclays actually.
Yes. So it was for the card.
Okay.
The Barclays card.
Okay. I am completely off.
You're hungry. So they will call you and give you the brief, what they want to send across.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be maybe festive season, you have your dinner or your dinner, and you use your card to pay for the service. So then you think how you would use the card.
Okay.
And then you try and create the scene. They like it, you go for it.
So before you even take the picture, you have to do your research.
Yes.
Walk us through those steps.
So
that when you quote someone a price, they understand the amount of time you actually invest in the pre-production, the actual shoot, and then the post-shoot.
Yes. Okay, so when you get the call that we have a shoot coming up what's the shoot about? It's about, let's say, give me an example.
Val's Day.
Val's Day, then love comes into mind, and what about Love's Day, or Val's Day, and all that. Depending on who called, even as we were speaking, I start putting things together. Go online, check how others represent the same thing.
So let's say
a bank,
and they want to do a promotion
for Val's
Day.
Okay, so what's the concept? I'll ask, what's the concept? What are you selling? So if it's about bank and money and shopping, there's another...
And the card, for instance.
And the card, for instance. So yes, then we start thinking shopping. Colors, red. So we start looking for props. Are they bringing models, or we're going to look for models? Then we start looking for who will fit into the age bracket that they're looking for. So putting all these things together, you go online, look for women doing shopping, couples doing shopping, like to match what they're looking for. You have an idea. But pictures you find online in some big mall will not be like ours. So then we adapt that and then bring into our settings.
How important is it? Because you started off by saying you didn't like the fact that you couldn't see people like us in stock images and the likes.
Yes.
How important is it for photographers to be intentional about diversifying those spaces, so that now if I Google black love or something, I can, or just love, I can see people who look like me on Google?
It's very important. I try to do something on stock photography so that we could create our own. It becomes very expensive when you want to do something and you have to go and take your pictures. Meanwhile, it's something very simple. I've been advising people to go into the stock business so that it's easier. Okay. So you take a picture. I think there's one particular picture on a billboard or on billboards around town. Different companies are using the same black lady because she's black, not even Ghanaian black, like she's black, and different companies are using her. You see, it tells you that there's the need for us to create our own.
Yeah.
If you take a picture, if I take a picture of you, and let's say for Kwaku, and I'm going to charge you 500 cedis to do that. Now, when I take the picture, I take a picture of you like this, turn a bit, towards this side with a laptop, with a tablet, so one scene, multiple shots, and Kwaku, the banker, can use, an insurance company can use the same image, so it's very, very important. And then it becomes cheaper for everybody. But in this case, the bank will have to commission someone to do an entire shoot.
And that's more expensive.
More expensive, yes.
Let's talk about how you started building your clientele when you first started. So some 20 years ago, how did you get out of that zone of your friends wanting free shots, people asking you, take my pictures for exposure, to actually building a paid clientele base?
Fortunately or unfortunately, when I started photography, I knew money already.
Ah, okay.
So I knew that free things are not the best. And I also attended some workshops and conferences where they were hard on doing things for free, especially for someone who can afford.
Okay.
And I remember, I think Chase Jarvis also said something like, your $500 client can never become your $5,000 client. And I've seen it. A company starting, sorry, I think it's Ametam.
Yeah.
A company starting and they say, we are small, so can we start something? So they come with a small budget. The moment they grow, they go and look for someone who will charge them that much.
They won't come back to you.
They never come back to you.
Wow.
You are small. You charge them 200 cedis to take pictures. They feel they are big now. The other guy is charging 20,000. He must be good. So let's go for him. So free things are not the best. So when I started, you put out a lot of money. I don't remember buying my equipment piece by piece.
Okay.
So if you think about how much money you spent.
How much did you spend when you started?
How much did you spend?
We asked the questions.
Yes.
I think from a conversation I had with him some time ago, it was in the tens of thousands, actually.
Of cities.
No.
Dollars.
Yes.
Wow.
But like he said, I mean, he already knew money.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
So
it's a big
it's a
investment.
business you're going to do. You have the art side already. So if you want to make it into a business, you invest. You do your research. What do I need? It took me a long time to decide which camera to buy, which lenses to get. At a point, you buy a lot of lenses. Then as time goes on, you realize you don't need some of them for what you've chosen to do. So when you spend that amount of money, when you're charging, it's not the same as someone dashed you a camera and you're using it to work. Because then you think about insurance. A typical lens is around, let's say, $2,000. When you drop it, how do you replace it? So you take all these things into consideration, and it will make you think twice when you're charging. But getting clients, because of the work I was doing before, I already had some clients.
Okay.
So the moment you mention, it's like you're selling, let's say, wache, and you say, I've added salad to it.
Yeah. Complimentary.
Yeah, they're complimentary, yes. So we started from there. And then my first wedding, which was at Akosombo, we did the wedding, and it was a hit, instant hit. I don't know if you've seen the Fallen Angel. So it was an instant hit, and then we started getting a lot of weddings from them. Yes.
What role did social media play in your customer acquisition strategy, and also even dealing with people not having the convenience of taking their own pictures? Did that decrease demand a bit?
So 2007 was when Facebook opened to the public.
Yeah.
And I had a call from my friend who was in the US saying, oh, now Facebook, because they had Facebook over there.
Yeah.
And we didn't. So when they opened, my friend called me, and I quickly, signed up. And I was into this photography thing already, so I started putting my pictures up. And I remember my friend calling me saying, no, if you put your pictures up, people will steal your ideas and all that. But it helped.
Yeah.
In the end, people will see what you're capable of doing, the kind of things you're doing, and they saw a different photography. For the first time, they were like, what kind of photography is this? So they paid attention to it. And I kept posting. People kept, consuming it, like they enjoyed watching the images. And you get weddings, birthdays, even portrait shoot and stuff like that. So it was pretty smooth.
Okay. But people taking pictures themselves and all kinds of random people turning into photographers, did that in any way?
No, it wasn't there.
It wasn't there back then?
No.
What about now?
Now?
What is the impact?
Because there's so many photographers now.
Yes. I'm looking for an example. You've been through in someone. You see how they sell bread?
Yeah. So many bread sellers.
So many bread sellers. In the end, it's also like trotro at Circle. So many trotros. But they all get filled up, and then... But the question is, what's your taste?
Use the kinky sellers at Cape Coast, because everyone has that specific table they will go to.
But I buy mine from Zinabu.
Exactly.
You see Zinabu written there. When I stop, I buy
That's
from Zinabu.
That's where you go.
Because Zinabu is very honest. She told me one time to buy from another person because hers wasn't fresh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the same.
Yeah.
So if I'm your photographer and we're honest about things, it's like, I keep telling my clients, I want your money, but sometimes it's not. I want to advise you not to even do certain shoots because it's not necessary.
Yeah.
And when it's necessary, then I'll tell you that let's do it. It's good. So when you keep doing that, you keep people, you keep clients, rather than, so the most important thing is to get customers or clients who will keep coming back.
So what advice would you tell young up-and-coming photographers about customer retention? because everybody's just fighting to acquire the customer. But what would you tell them about paying attention to retaining the customer?
I think honesty is one.
Okay.
And also, I've noticed that even before the honesty, the situation that happens for people not to be honest is they don't invest. They don't pay attention to the workflow. So they take a picture of you, they lose their files. When you lose the files, then you start running around. You know, so
telling stories.
Yes. When it happens like that, the customer won't come back.
Yeah.
But if you invest right, some hard drives, try and back up all the time, take your time and work on one. Don't take too much so that you can't work on the jobs. Try and finish one job, deliver quality stuff, and then you go on to the other. It's better to be like the Rolls Royce than to be like any other cheap brand. Producing more versus take your time, produce one, and get a higher markup. It's better.
Okay. So
Yes.
what's next for the Ghana photography industry as far as, you know, taking Ghana to the world? I mean, there's the Yao Paris, Nana Kofi Akwas, Emmanuel Bobby, there's you. And how
There's
do
Kwaku
we...
David.
Yes. How do we get the nation to begin to see the role you guys play in, you know, Ghana tourism potential?
I said this some time ago. Funny, but it's a fact that we make the president. Our pictures are used on the campaign posters.
Yeah.
True? So it's the same way we sell the country. No matter what you do, pictures sell. In advertising, CNN had this thing going on, advertising, your right to choose, where they rip off all branding and papers from products. And then you see that really,
Without pictures.
There's nothing. So that's how we should see how what we're doing is selling the nation. So 2006, I think I started something called Beautiful Ghana.
Okay.
Now, what it was doing, so there were people who were coming into the country, tourists, and they didn't know anywhere. Now, traveling with them, showing them around the country, I noticed that they came blind. They didn't know what they were coming to see. So I started thinking, so it means that we're not doing a great job. Yeah. You see, that's around the time I decided to go into this space full time. Not full time, but spend more of my time into it. And when I decided to take pictures of the places we were traveling to, I started seeing some impact. So I realized that, for example, one girl from America who was on the street of Osu, back then, let's say 2007, made a call to her family. They even have ATM.
Oh, my God.
They have billboards, lighted.
They don't live in the woods.
Yeah. But I can't blame her too much because
we didn't do enough.
She was traveling from Europe by road all the way to Ghana. And she said when they got to Bamako, the whole country had one ATM, Mali, in Bamako, and the queue and also the charges. So they thought Africa or West Africa was going to be the same throughout. And then they got to Ghana and it was a different story. So seeing this, I started taking travel photos more, posting a lot of travel photos. Now, when you talk about the people you mentioned, Yapare, David, Bob, Steve Abebio, Nana Kofi, and all these people, it's not like that because now you see more of Ghana. Yeah. When you Google Ghana and you see a lot of beautiful pictures, not nothing.
Thank you.
You know.
Where do we find you on social media?
Steven Adusei.
Steven Adusei.
Yes.
Thank you so much for spending your moment.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you at home for joining us.
We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.